Okay, my name is Larry Brownfield. I have the opportunity to be the Director of Franchise Development for KOA. I don't like long bios and things, so I gave your bio introduction person the afternoon off. That's about all you need to know about me. I've been hanging around about 12 years. I think this is my, how many Waco shows now? 5, 6, a lot. So it's always good to be here. And I want to talk to you about, we're saying howdy partner. We're going to talk about new guests. And as I begin to think about this, new guest is interesting to define. So I want somebody to define for me, what is a new guest? What's a new guest? Not everybody talk at once. Somebody who's never come to your park before. That's good. Is there another definition of a new guest? Somebody who's never been taking advantage of a particular market that or an offering that you have. Good thinking. What's a new guest? Somebody who's never camped before. This is their first time to anybody's park. New campers. What is a new guest? Generational differences. They might have camped as a teen. They quit camping in their 20s. They come back in their 30s. Are they a new guest? Yeah. It's lifestyle driven. So one of the things that I want to kind of set the stage with this afternoon is the fact that I'm not going to necessarily be addressing particular things that you're going to do on your campground to attract new customers. That's not it's not the purpose of this. The purpose of this is to give you a scope of what the market looks like, and then you determine how maybe you should go back home and attract new business, new guests. So we're going to do an exercise around the table, and the people that are closest to you, and it can't take more than just a few seconds. I mean, don't make this rocket science and a dissertation. Tell the people around your table the makeup of your campground. Are you seasonal? Are you overnight? Are you, what's the makeup? Are you bifurcated? What does your campground look like? Question one. And question two, about how many percentage-wise new people do you have showing up at your campground every year? Go. Talk to your neighbors. No handshaking.
I would say we probably get Good question.
Give everybody a chance to talk. Don't everybody talk. Share the table. So are you going to just do screenshots? Is that how you're going?
I'm going to do both.
Okay.
So I'll get the screen, but then when you're not on the screen and talking, I'll get you.
Okay. You're paused right now, though.
No,
Hi. Well, hello out there in video land. Okay, let's stop talking.
Right.
This table over here. Somebody be brave and tell me about your campground. What's your guest mix look like? No brave souls at this table.
So you wanted what?
Just answer the questions that I put. What is your campground mix?
So our campground mix is more non-seasonal, more weekend, weekdays.
Okay.
Less seasonals. And we jokingly said that according to what you did for a definition of what a new guest is, all of our guests are new guests, technically.
Would you stand up? Would you stand up? What's your name? No, stand up. What's your name?
Aaron.
Aaron? Aaron's got a laser on. Now say that last thing really, really, really loud.
It was a teamwork. Just I don't want to leave him out of it.
All right, Kevin. Cool. What was it?
All guests, according to the definition that we all laid out, is new guests.
All guests are new to guests. Ah, is that an interesting? Thank you very much. This table right here.
Well, we did a little too much small talk.
Stand up so the room can see you, and we're going to get on video together.
Oh, great. I hate being on video. But anyways, we have our campground, Pineland Camping Park, is about 2/3 seasonal, and the rest are daily sites.
Okay. And what's your guest mix look like? People, young, old, in between?
Oh, it's pretty. We really cater to families.
Okay.
So, but we have older people too,
So-
retired people with grandkids.
So how many percentage-wise new guests do you have a year?
Everybody's new.
Everybody's new. Oh, that's good. This table over here, I guess this is a collective group. Did y'all all work together? I'm sure you did. I'm sure you did. Somebody talk.
You're not bad.
Okay, so we're about 2/3 seasonal, 1/3 overnight. And we probably have 85%-ish repeat business each
Okay.
year, even if all of our guests are new guests.
That's good. You have a repeat new guest of 85%.
Roughly.
Okay. Great. That's good.
I have an all-seasonal 71-site campground. So they're all new every year.
That's right. There you
They
go.
range in age from early 20s to 80.
Okay. This table here. The random thing is going to pull it. It's, oh, okay.
We're a mix-up. We have 461 permanent condo sites, and then between the 183 other sites we have, it's about halfway seasonal, halfway overnight.
Okay. New business, new guests.
They all are, but much like Adam, about 85% are return new guests, and then the rest are brand new guests.
Okay. All right, howdy, partner. Who's your new guest? 49%, oh, I got to get out of here. 49% of the U.S. population participated in an outdoor activity. That doesn't necessarily mean camping, but that means that they're out there. Roughly half of the population in our country are participating something outdoors. Now, for us in the understanding of just seeing what the base of what I'm trying to do is build the top of the funnel here to bring us down to understanding what it means in your neck of the woods is the fact that there are people that are not opposed to being outside. Now, wouldn't you think that's a good population center to draw on? If they're opposed to being outside, it's going to be a little bit difficult to make the sale toward a campground. It can be done, but it's a little more difficult. So now we're seeing the top of the funnel is very broad. The national parks exceeded 300 million visits. That's a lot of people out there. And they're going to one particular spot. 300 million visits last year. It's the 4th consecutive year of growth. 300 million people went to a national park last year. Okay, so now we're building the funnel. We've got the funnel up here with the 49% of the population. We brought it down and said now at least 300 million people, 300 million visits happened at a national park. So we're bringing the funnel down. So does this tell you that you've got a pool of new guests waiting for you, new business, that you can say, howdy, partner? REI's Opt Outside program is huge. It's grown exponentially since 2015. Recreational equipment. The idea of moving through in their club, their opt outside understanding, the way that they're moving forward and promoting business with a sale of outdoor equipment moves forward. Camping. The North American Camping Report that we're going to be talking, well, let me go back. I clicked too fast. The overall in our research shows that camping in a traditional, well, I'm going to use this in the context that we all live within. Camping in a traditional RV park / campground that provides some level of amenities, whether it be water and electric. Now, we're not talking about all full hookups, but it provides at least some level of amenities, is continuing to grow throughout the customer usage to the point that some of us may be a bit concerned in pockets of the country that inventory is being sucked up by the business and that there's a lack of inventory. Now, one of the things that you need to understand and think back, how many have been in business for 10 years or more? 10 years ago, did you have open sites? Maybe not on the weekend, let's grant it. Maybe 4th of July, you're always full. But typically 10 years ago, you could pull up, you'd have maybe at least one site open for somebody that just showed up without a reservation, right? How many have been in business 15 years? In non-seasonal park. 15 years ago, it was a given. You didn't have to make reservations. It was given. You could just show up at any campground in any place in the country, and they'd have at least one site, unless it was 4th of July, Memorial Day, or Labor Day. That is not the case nowadays, is it? Your park is full. Your park is full, and could be fuller and many times. So the idea is the new business keeps feeding the park. So we're going to talk about why that is. And a lot of these things, and you've heard me do data, and I've been accused of being the yellow data geek a lot, and that's fine with me. That's kind of a good description. But this is the data that's coming out of the North American Camping Report. At the end of this presentation, there will be my email address. If you will email me, I will be more than happy to email you 2 reports. I'll email you this report, and I'll email you the national report on glamping that we just completed. Happy to do it. You just have to email me, and you have to tell me what you want. Don't just email me and tell me hello, because I'll just say hi back. So email me, tell me what you're rolling, and I'll send you a link so that you can download these reports. All right? So the North American Camping Report. Now, what was it? Again, Kevin gets to say it this time. How do we find new guests?
So the way that we were defining new guests was literally everybody is a new guest based on what you were saying.
Everybody could be a new guest within the category by which they show up on your campground. Now the idea is if you need to, and this is a philosophy, I will step outside by my friend Paul here a minute and step out of character. The philosophy is that even if they've been in your campground 15 years, every time they walk in the door, you need to treat them as a new guest. Right? Absolutely. Thanks, Paul, for that. I appreciate it. So as we're going, 79 million households. 79 million households camped. 79 million camping households. That's huge. Now I'm talking about the total universe of camping. I'm not just talking about those that camp at an independent private campground. I'm talking about those that got outside and camped. 79 million households. I also see that that's a 22% increase in annual campers. This is crazy. These are crazy numbers here. From the 2018 report to the 2019 report to what we're seeing kind of on the foreshadowing will be released in April or May, the 2020 report, 22% growth in those people that decided to camp every year. It's huge. Huge. There's a lot of new guests in that number. One of the things that I say about KOA is I can bring you a guest one time. It's up to you to keep them. I can get somebody to go to a campground once and give it a try. Now it's up to you to make them a repeat business. 7.2 million new households have been added to the camping mix since 2014. That's new guests. That's new to camping. Now one of the things, some of you are already glazing over. I can tell you that. Now, I'm not so sure why you're glazing over. You're either glazing over because it's the last seminar of the day and you've been pretty tired, or that last cookie you ate on the way in is hitting you, or that these numbers really are not meaningful to you because you can't think in terms of millions, because your campground is only 300 to 400 sites. But I want you to understand that what this is saying, we measure things on large scale just to see how they move within the context of the country. And you have a part of that. And so you need to own it in your neighborhood. You may not have an increase of 7.2 million people coming to your campground in a year. If you did, I would really like to talk to you. I would love to put a yellow sign on your campground. If you had that many people showing. But the idea is it moves the understanding. Try to translate this as it fits to you, okay? I realize they're big numbers, but try to find the way it fits to you. Here's the deal. And here's the deal that it's the elephant in the room, and I've been waving this flag for how many years, Joe? 5, 6. The elephant in the room is 60% of the camping market camps in tents. Ah, boo. Shh, boo, hiss.
Is that from 2014 also?
Yes, it's actually grown. The percentage of campers in tents across the 60% of the market are tent campers.
But if you get California out of that.
Oh, for the record, Joe said if you get California out of that. So the idea, it's important though to realize. Now, that might not be your market, that might not want to be your market, but please, you can't ignore that 60% of the people out there spending money to camp are camping in a tent. Something just to keep in mind. I'm not going to make a value judgment for you on that. I'm just talking about today, new business. So one of the things that you might want to file away if we're looking for new business is that I might consider maybe new business related to something that I do around a tent site. And there are ways to this. I'll be happy to talk with you. I know the stories. I know the stories. I know why tent camping is not popular. Believe me, I know. I've dealt with it. You've dealt with it. We've all dealt with it. All God's children have dealt with it. But we can't ignore the fact that 60% of the market camps in tents. But where else are we going? The fastest growing on an independent campground's market base are these things. Cabins or accommodations in broad terms. 34% of the new campers last year stayed in, we call it a cabin. They stayed in some sort of accommodation. All right? Now the way that we're defining this within the context of this research, this is accommodation that provides a bathroom, a place to go to the restroom and take a shower, a full bath. Okay? Take a bath. So it doesn't necessarily have to have a food preparation area, but it does have to have at least a bathroom. 34% of the people that were brand new to the market, they camped in some sort of accommodation. That's up 9 points. By the way, a little foreshadowing for the 2020 report, it's up again. Again, if we're looking and exploring opportunities for new guests on your campground, that might be something that you would want to explore. But you've got to do it right. You can't just throw a park model out there and say, okay, I've got a camping cabin. You know, it needs to be appointed inside. You need to really, really understand that people who camp inside want an outside experience. So you need to put an outdoor experience along with that cabin. Don't just put something with a deck and steps and a porch. You know, I see that all the time. It makes my mind go, is the fact that somebody's rented a cabin, but there's no camping experience related to it. It has to have an outdoor experience. At least a place to sit down outside. So the idea is if you're thinking about new guests, that might be one of the things that you need to think about. Oh, and there's the campground. It's a pretty one, isn't it? 25% of all campers. This is all campers. In the context of the new business, camped in RVs. Towables. I should say towable RVs. Towable RVs. It's surging. 39% of the people surveyed said that they're planning on camping more than they did last year. That's good. That's real good. Almost 40% of people say, I'm gonna do this more. So, all right, I want you to think about something. Do you know what a camper night is? Do y'all use that term? Y'all, see, I'm from Texas. Y'all use camper night? Do you know what a camper night is? An occupied site per one night? So say you have 10,000 camper nights in a year. What if you could get half of those people? What's half of 10,000? 5,000. I tell you, you're glazing over on me. Half of 10,000 equal 5,000. What if you could get half of your people to stay one more night? How many camper nights would you have? 15. I'll do the math. 15,000. All right, so now then, let's say 39%. What's 39% of 10,000? 3,900. I'll just do the math for you. So if you could get a 39% getting to stay one more night at the end of the year, how many camper nights would you have? 13,900. Okay, we're working on this math together. What is your average? Think about this. I'm not going to do this math because then it would just make my head explode. But say your ADR, what's your ADR? Say your ADR is $50. So what's $50 times 3,900? What's $50 times 3,900? Come on, do the math.
195,000.
Okay. Is that right, or are you just pulling my chain?
No, I didn't type in the calculator.
Okay,
50
so
times 3,900, right?
Okay, 50 times 3,900 is?
Yeah, almost $200,000, 195,000.
So if you could just utilize this 39% camping more one night on a 10,000 night average base, you've just made how much more money?
Almost 200 grand.
Almost 200 grand. So is it not to your advantage to cultivate the understanding of asking for one more night? Is it not to your advantage of when they're checking out, say, may I make another reservation for you? Or you have them on the phone, or you email them back thanking them for their online reservation with the email saying, let me tell you what's happened Labor Day, you want to make your reservation now. Don't you think it's important to be proactive to expand this new customer base, especially when the research tells us that 39% want to camp more? And the reason they may not be camping more with you is because you're not inviting them to do so. So one of the things I would just tell you, please try to take this home. Figure out a way that you can invite your existing reservations to stay one more night with you. Just one more night. Which sometimes in the summertime turns into 2 more nights. Can you be proactive and strategic on that? Everybody shake your head. Say yes. All right, don't lie. See, now you've told me you're going to do it, so you need to go home and do it. I throw this slide in here just because it's important to see. Because this is not necessarily just unique for us. Because we're seeing this reflected. Maybe not at this curve, but we're seeing this reflected. Our year-over-year registration growth from 2011 to 2019 was an 89% growth in registration. That's registration. That's just the people staying at our parks. 89% year-over-year growth from 2011. We're seeing that replicated, and not just in our place, but we're seeing that replicated other places too. There's new business out there and they need a campground to go to. Now what is this? There are things that, I throw this out just to talk about, people say all the time, how did you get that 89%? Well, we talk about camper night growth, pushing for one more night. We talk about investment in improving our campgrounds. You know, we'll walk around your campground, and if it was built in the 70s, I'm not going to do a show of hands. Most of the campgrounds in this country were built in the late 70s through the early 90s. And they haven't had anything done to them since 1993. So it might be time to think about that. So invest in that. New construction. We've got new construction. We also have multi-property ownership going on, and it's a big thing. If you've got a campground now, think about buying another one or building another one. Now's the time to do it, especially while they're giving money away. And they're giving money away right now. Metaphorically speaking. Metaphorically speaking. You know, especially after last week, what the Fed did. So the idea is, I realize that there's some things kind of, and we're not going to chase this rabbit long, but I realize there's some things out there that makes the market a little uncertain. Right now, that the conventional wisdom with those of us that we've had a round table about this, I was even on the phone a bit yesterday, is what's going to go on with this coronavirus and camping. And our point is we believe that outdoor hospitality will stay strong because they can bring their own home with them. And they know that they can disinfect their own home, and their kids can go to the bathroom in their own home. And we're outdoors, and we find that as long as you're not in a confined space, they're telling us 6 feet is kind of as close you want to get to somebody, especially this guy here. The idea is the great outdoors is still going to be fairly safe within the context. So we anticipate that we're going to see some things, and we're encouraging our campgrounds to be accommodating to people that might want to cancel their reservations. But yet we also believe that it's going to be something that boosts us. We also have rolled out cleaning plans for accommodations. You know, the cleaning plans that we have in place for our accommodations already meet and exceed the CDC standard for cleaning an accommodation that's rented, but we've expanded that even more with suggestions for people on how to take care of their front desk, how to take care of their office, their restrooms, and their accommodations. We're rolling that out even as we speak. And we're letting our customers know that we're taking this serious. And so should you. If I had an independent campground right now, I would get onto my mailing, I would text some email telling them that you're open for business in the summer and that you're doing everything that you do humanly possible to make your campground safe and welcoming for them when they come see you this summer, and you're looking forward for them to be there. Let's get out in front of this thing, okay? I'm not going to politicize this thing and say it any more than it is, but it's something that's real, it's live, it's active, and we need to get out in front of it. Do y'all need to have a staff meeting here? All right. See, that's one reason I love coming to Waco's, because I feel like I'm home, folks, and I can tease you. All right. I love that picture. That's not me, by the way. 768 million vacation days went unused in the U.S. last year. Unused. People had vacations that they didn't take. 9% versus, that's a 9% growth over 2017. So one of the things that maybe if I was trying to get, that's a record, by the way. If I was trying to reach new business, I would do something, maybe local marketing. Remember, I don't have this slide in here. How far is your market sphere? Does anybody want to guess how far their market sphere is on an average?
75 miles.
150 miles. That's good. 75 is good, Paul. Right now, 150 miles is the average drive distance for people who drive to a campground. If I were doing something and wanting to reach new business, I would play on the idea about unused vacation. Unused vacation is an all-time high. At the Larry's Groovy KOA, we're offering some incentive for you to use your vacation days. Don't let them go. Don't let them go. I mean, there's all kinds of fun marketing things that you can do with that. It's a tragedy. All right. Here's something. How many besides me are boomers? Come on, Paul, raise your hand.
I'm older than that.
Shh, I'm trying to help you out. All right, I'm the only boomer in the room. 45% of boomers have no retirement savings. No retirement savings. So you take into account the rest of the United States. If you have that much power, let me tap into some of yours, because I can tell you out of the last week, I have a whole lot less than I used to, as of yesterday. Well, I don't even want to know about it. So the idea why I put that in there is the fact that 45% of, we are under some myth that boomers are going to be retiring and doing a lot of camping. That's a myth. Boomers are not retiring because they can't afford to retire. But that's still a camping market that we need to jump into. We're talking about new guests, right? New guests. Maybe we need to attach that. Okay, I threw this up here because somebody over here said something about buckets of people. I don't remember who it was. Was that you? Well, stand up and take a bow. Zoom in on the video. So right now, this is the way it looks. This is the way the generations look. And we are under some misconception that boomers make up the largest percentage of our market, and it couldn't be further from the truth. So right now, as you see, millennial campers and Gen X campers are huge in our marketplace. But we're not really doing anything to market to this new business. We're not. Traditionally, an independent campground as a whole is not really doing anything to reach this demographic. Just telling you. Now look at this. New campers. New last year. Remember how many gazillion new campers we had? Anybody remember? 7.5 million households. 56% of those were millennials, 25% of those were Gen Xers. Understand this is what your market looks like, guys. Why won't it click? Did it click? Did I go too many? Just a second. I went too many. Let's back up. There we go. Kristen, you're going to have to operate this thing for me. All right. Now, if we're talking about, I've got some data that just came out, and I've got to quantify it before I was ready to throw it up on the screen, and then I just thought better of it. So maybe I can get an answer for us before the end of the week on average income breakdown per generation, per spending, per campground, where they're spending it, and where else are they shopping. That's just brand new, just showed up. So, but Gen X's, so now and then I'm thinking, if I'm going to target to somebody of that growing group, I have volume and I have dollars. So this is a marketing decision. It's all about the economy of scale. If you have a large scale, you market to what? Volume. If you have small scale, you market to what? Dollars. Does this make sense? Hopefully I'm not going crazy with you here. So this is all about scale. If you have a 500 site campground and you have 20 or 30% sites unfilled, then I need to market to what? Money or scale? Money or volume? I need to market to, say, volume. Volume. Because the idea at that point is I need to maximize my available inventory. Now, if I have 10 sites available, do I want to market to money or volume? Money. Money. Because now it's a commodity based on the fact, I feel like my back is to y'all all the time. So now then I want to market to the places that can pay, the people that can pay me more money. Right? And right now Gen Xers earn more and spend more. 78% of the Gen Xers that camped own their own RV. That's huge. By the way, we've got another slide here that talks about the overall percentage, but that's up 13 points. So now I'm an RV dealer. Who in the world am I marketing to? And by the way, they are. The RVIA and their latest marketing talks about the understanding that they are going after this Gen X market simply because they earn more, they spend more, and they buy RVs. So now then, guess what? Where would I spend my money? So here's the intent to purchase. There's some anomalies here. It's very interesting. Gen X's, this is the one that just blew my mind, and we dug into it. We have a higher percentage intent to purchase a fifth wheel with millennials than we do Gen X's. That just made me go, oh, yeah, that's not right. And that's not right. Guess what? It is. When we drill down into the data, the skew point on that was people buying the fifth wheel for a
Toy hauler. No?
a residence.
Oh, residence.
Because millennials can't afford to live anywhere.
Right. What age group is Gen X? I'm sorry, I don't.
Gen X is anything currently that was born prior to 1982, 83. The breakover millennial, it depends on who you ask, the breakover millennial is about 85, 86. So Gen X is anything from 1969 to 1982 or 83. Okay? Huh? So are you claiming something? I couldn't hear it.
I said I'm a millennial, just to let you know.
Well, let's just all give you a hand. So the idea, it's interesting here. The rest of it made sense except for that one, and that's qualifying. But here's the really thing that's just gone crazy. Class Bs, camper vans. They have gone crazy. And I can tell you I was crazy. I lived in a Class B for a year and would still be living in it had not Heimer of North America gone bankrupt last year, and I lost all my warranty, all my equity, and I had to unload the stupid thing. And that's my sad story. But that's interesting. All right. All campers. This is we're talking now, continuing trying to understand new. We've seen a 17-point increase in diversity since 2012. So look, that's what's going on currently. That's what the census is. There was a long time that outdoor hospitality lived right here and actually reflected below the census. This is where it currently sits. Of all campers, new campers, that's the breakdown. We've seen a 6-point increase of RV usage in Hispanics. We've seen a 64% of African Americans that camp are millennials. By the way, we saw a trend several years ago. I mean, it was several years ago within the context of the African American market, and it can be pinpointed to almost a single event. Does anybody know what it was? I'll buy a beer or a drink of your choice at the bar if anybody can name it. No? It was a single event that tipped over the African American market to the point of utilization. Nope.
What year?
I can't remember the exact year, but it was several years ago. Oprah and Gail went camping. Yeah. Oprah and Gail went camping. And they documented that thing, and it's the most hilarious show you'll ever watch in your life. But they responded to an African American National Park Service ranger who reached out to her and talked about the lack of utilization within the African American community of the national parks. And it became a cause, and he invited her to come camp at the national parks. And they did, in a pop-up trailer. And it became a sensation. And we saw and could track utilization and the expanse within the market. But now we're seeing even more expanse within the context of the market. And I'm going to say that not to minimize that, but I talk about influencers. We're talking about each market has an influencer, and she was an influencer. And it was okay. African Americans camp at private campgrounds more than any other demographic. Just recently, there was the National Summit for Diversity that was hosted. We co-hosted it in California. There's Toby O'Rourke, our CEO. There's Rob Shooter from Jellystone. There's Damian Petty from the insurance group, and each one of these groups represent a different, I think that's Paul in the back, it's a little fuzzy. Each one of these groups represent influencers within the broader base of the community. And it's going to be the first annual. They've set this now up every year to context and the understanding of what can we do as an industry to make utilization of outdoor hospitality open to all comers. 51% of all campers camp with kids. It's up 17%. I wonder if I have my pets slide in there. More campers camp with pets than with kids. Think about that, new market. We're seeing a resurgence of children in the market. Now, those of you who have a Jellystone, you have kids all the time. Count yourself fortunate because we're now seeing such a resurgence in the market with kids in independent campgrounds. It's great. Up 17 points. Millennials and RV ownership. So right now, 30% of the millennials that camp that own an RV are single. 58% are a couple with children. 86% of teens who have camped find it enjoyable. We kind of laugh, but it was a misnomer that teens don't like camping. They don't. So I mean, we researched it. I mean, why not? I mean, well, let's not live on conventional wisdom. Let's just drill down. And we find out that they find it enjoyable. Now, I feel a little silly saying it, but we have kicked out the teen market. That's, by the way, Generation Z. The Zers out there. And now the Zers are unique folks. We have to find a way to reach the Zers. Anybody have a Zer in your house?
In the flesh.
In the flesh. A Zer. And then you have the group that's now beyond Z that's called the Horizon. And those are those kids that are 10 and under, the tweens. And they're totally different. I have 3 tween granddaughters. They are totally different. They are just little different animals. I love them to death, but my gosh, they're wired in a way I don't understand. I'm old. My youngest granddaughter told her other grandmother, not the these are my son's children, her mother's parents, that she asked her how old she was, and she's 70, and Matilda's 5. She said, I didn't know people lived that long. So, I mean, that was wonderful for Facebook. But the idea is this has got to be taken into consideration. We can't, for a long time, we treated the teen market as the drag-alongs. They were just drug along. They were too young to stay at home by themselves. And so they were just drug along. And many times they were too old for the activities that were going on the campground because we focused on the younger kids who were glad to be there and excited to be there. And they're fun to be around when they're excited to be there. But we didn't deal with the old sold up teens. Guess what? They're really not. They just need to be reached. 86% of them said they find it enjoyable. This is interesting. Well, go back. 52% want to disconnect from technology when they're camping. Only 52. But I will tell you, that's a whole lot higher than we thought it would be. So one of the things that we're encouraging people to do is utilize technology with the teens on the campground, find something that works with them that they can use their silly things and make it fun. Usage informs design. You say, Larry, I know that. We know that. But look at this. This is a tent site. It's a little hard to see, but it's an improved tent site. If we're understanding that usage informs design, if 60% of the market out there are tenters, then don't we need to design toward meeting that end instead of our most crappy sites on our campground, primitive tenting? I'll just go pitch a tent in the dirt over there. By the way, your tent sites, on a side note, NFP 1194, do you know the distance between your tent sites and your bathhouse? Does anybody know that?
400 feet?
400 feet. I'm proud of you guys. Tent site cannot be more than 400 feet from a bathhouse, nor can it be within further than 100 feet from a water source, potable water source. Patio sites. By the way, we trademarked the word KOA patio. But a patio site, a patio site for many people is just a slab of concrete that goes out beside the site. The picnic table sits on, that's a patio site. That is not a patio site. That's just a piece of concrete with a picnic table on it. Please. A patio site is a patio. It has to be something special. Not all your sites should be that way because you need market differentiation. You should charge a whole lot more for that site than just one that has a piece of concrete and a picnic table on it. So for us, a patio site has to have a minimum of 225 square feet, an improved campfire experience, some sort of cooking apparatus, be it a charcoal or glass grill, 2 seating areas. Can't quite see the other one. Oh, there's a little swing there and there's a table right there. Improved surface. So, I mean, it's something that usage informs design. By the way, this is the KOA patio is the highest utilized site type in our inventory. People want it and they pay for it. And it's generally a 30 to 35% increase in rate. They're the first things that go online. People like them. Why? Because it's special. It's special. It's not just a water, sewer, and electric hookup with a concrete pad with a picnic table on it. They are wanting the outside experience. Please understand this. Please, please understand. You're not selling water, sewer, and electric. You're selling an experience. That is your product. And once we get and buy into the idea that my product is the experience that comes on my campground, then I'm going to be able to attract new business because those new people want my experience. And when they come year after year and you've got a new experience for them that year, guess what? They're a new customer. I'm watching my time. I think I have 15 minutes. Average size of group camping. So 7.5 in a group, typically Hispanic, 6 in Gen X, millennials, 6.1. I don't know how that one person or that half a person shows up. Maybe somebody's pregnant and they're not all the way, but they're a whole person. So I don't know how that works. But the idea is what we see is we think of group camping and we think of clubs and we think of all that. Group camping has now been redefined. Group camping is not these clubs that want to rent your sites for half price and beat you up for everything in the world and use your clubhouse and not clean it. I mean, I hear all the stories about group camping. These are group camping. These are families. These are friends. These are work associates. And they want to be able to come and camp as a group. Then you need to take into consideration utilization versus design. Some might be in a cabin. Some might be in a tent. Some might be in an RV. Maybe we need a place to get together. Maybe we need common campfires. I mean, there's all kinds of things, but group camping is here to stay and to increase because it fits within the demographic of the utilization of the customers that are coming to your campground. Don't ignore it. Think about it. 60% camp with pets. How many camped with children? 51%. 60% of the campers camped last year with at least one animal besides their husband. This is something that we call them bark sites. And they're not new, not necessarily new with us. There are other people, but they're bark sites. So it's a campsite with a fenced-in dog run, off-leash dog run at the site.
I have a question on there. Do you guys have problems with those as far as people leaving the dogs unattended? Do you know?
There is. I mean, it has to be policed, and the thing is, there's a utilization. There's a whole kind of thing when you when you rent the bark site or the pet site. Is expectations are made very clear at the time that you get in there, that, you know. So I mean, it's all about communicating expectations. But to say that there's not problems with it would be not accurate.
How high do you do the fences on that? Because that dog looks like that. I mean,
Yeah, typically the minimum height on those are 3 feet. And the idea is we tell people if their dog's going to jump the fence, then they can't be in there. Our Camp K9, the fence minimum height is 4 feet. So we have our off-leash park calling Camp K9 fence height 4 feet. These sites, minimum 3.
Curious, how big are the areas?
All sizes. It's whatever space is available. There are even some that the whole site is included in a fence. So what happens is there's a gate at the front that's moved back. These are back-end sites. The gate is moved back. The customer's back in. They shut the gate. The whole thing is fenced, and the dog has free reign all the way around the campground.
Do you charge more for that?
Absolutely. Generally, again, it's about like a patio site, so 35 to 40% more on the rate.
Is there a special deposit that you guys charge in case when they check out, you go there? And
You know, that's the franchisee can do whatever they wish. There's nothing that we don't require. I mean, the only thing we require on deposits is a reservation deposit on our national cancellation reservation policy. What that franchisee chooses to do at their campground is up to them. Any more questions? On-site recreation is important in choosing a campground. Look at the importance here. Look how important on-site recreation is. That's huge. What are you doing on-site for recreation? And this is the way it breaks down by demographic. But the least one is out here to the boomers, 36%. The millennials, 40%. The Hispanic population, 50% of them say they want on-site recreation. 43 African American, 43 of the Asian community. By the way, that's a Gaga ball pit. Two of the most popular outdoor recreation pieces in the country are Gaga ball, thank you Coach Cliff, and pickleball. Pickleball. Go online to go online at least one time a day. Look at the people that go online at least one time a day. That means you got to have working internet. Don't just say you've got it. If you have it, it works. It's better not to have it at all than to have it and it not work. My opinion. Just go up front with the customer and say, look, you're going to have to do it on your phone. I don't have it. Or we're just out in the middle of nowhere and can't get either cell signal or internet. So enjoy the great outdoors. Set the customer expectation. But if they expect to go online and use your internet and it doesn't work, and if you charge for it and it doesn't work, not good. Travel trends in camping. Microcations. Microcations are basically staycations close to home in the sense, but you go to a particular area, take advantage of those campgrounds that are there, and you can package these things. If I had a campground, I would package and market a microcation, especially in pockets of times of years of lack of utilization, maybe shoulder season, maybe midweek, maybe marketing to a geographic area that's close to you within how many miles? 150 miles. Introduce this term. Come stay at our park or microcation. 57% of Americans did not take vacation. We already talked about that. Okay. 72% growth in camping in the last 3 years. It's huge. 70%, there it is, 70% camp 150 miles or less. 15 points up. You know, if you don't take anything out of this, take this. Go to your map, get the scale and draw a 150-mile circle around your campground. That's easily done. Look at that circle and begin to target local marketing within the context of that circle. There's where your biggest bang for your buck will be. Skip Gen. We've always had Skip Gen, but now Skip Gen is actually even greater. Skip Gen is where grandparents are taking their grandchildren camping more. Why? It's because mom and dad are not taking their vacation days. I mean, it's a reality. People say, you know, when grandparents taking their grand trip on skipping trip, then we threw it out there. There's 32% that are doing it. We threw it out there as an option, kind of as an idea in the survey. Is that something you'd be interested in doing? Response, 61% said they'd like to do that. What can you do to market skip gen? Road trips. Road trips are huge. 54% of the Americans took a road trip this past year. The nostalgia of the road trip is coming back. 21 points increase. 64% of families traveling domestically are planning driving vacations. Okay, driving vacations. How are we going to get them to come to your campground? If they're driving a car, what do they need? They either need a tent, or they need a cabin, they need a teepee, they need a caboose, they need a yurt, they need something, covered wagon, they need something to stay in. 86% of Americans say they have not seen enough of the United States. Huge. Huge. Business leisure. I got more data than I can talk. Business leisure. Here's something. 92% work while they're on vacation. We don't take our vacation. We'll take a vacation if I can still work. 56% of the travelers with children are likely to include family on the business trip. That's pretty cool.
Waco convention.
Yeah. Those who value Wi-Fi on a campground say they'll stay annually 6 more nights if they've got good, workable Wi-Fi. I'll stay 6 extra nights. I work remotely. By the way, I'm at work right now. I didn't know if y'all knew that or not. Van life, we talked about this just a little bit. Last year, Class B registrations rose 26%. What are you doing for the Class Bs? Many times they're just looked at as second-class citizens. I want the big 30-foot monster Class A's. Class Bs, typically, many of them don't need full hookup, but boy, you could put them on a really cool water and electric site. We're in a sharing economy. 40% RVers are renting or borrowing. 40% of the market last year did not own their own RV. That's huge. That brings all kinds of complexities to the campground because you have to do RV school when they get there because they don't know what to do with it, right? These are just the big ones right now. Outdoorsy has eclipsed everyone in the amount of available inventory. For a close second with RV share. These are people that have RVs that are rent them to somebody down the street. It's an Airbnb of RVing. I mean, I know someone personally owns 6 RVs, 6 travel trailers, and rents them out all the time. It's got a little fleet, it's got a little rental business. You know, this is Airbnb, Hip Camp, and Giro are moving fast into the context of our marketplace for accommodations and other things. Glamping. We're going to zip through this because we don't have enough time. There is a way to do glamping on a traditional campground, but you got to do it right. All right, we're going to repeat after me. There is a way, to achieve glamping, on my campground. If I do it, now yell this word, right. Absolutely. Now I'm going to get on my bully pulpit. I have one. You can focus in on my bully pulpit right here. The word resort in our camping industry is the most misused word in the industry. The reason that you call your campground a resort is because you want to differentiate yourself from the campground that's down the street that calls themselves a campground, who differentiates themselves from the RV park that's down the street that calls himself an RV park. It's all the same. Basically, it's all the same. Water, sewer, and electric, sites, bathhouse, laundry. So what differentiates the word resort? Well, there better be something that differentiates the word resorts, amenities, offerings, activities. There's got to be something that makes it unique beyond a water, sewer, and electric site. Because what's happening is now a new base of breed of people that we got a pass on that for years. Now a new breed of people are not going to give you a pass because they're going to drive on that campground and you said your resort, they're going to say, where's the resort? This is just a campground. And now then the expectation is shot. They made a reservation at a resort. This is not a resort, this is a campground. So please, if you call yourself a resort, do something on your campground to make it resort-esque. That's all I'm asking. Because what's happening, it's rippling through the marketplace. The next misused word that's coming up is glamping. Glamping has particular definitions by origin and by charter and by organization. The National Glamping Organization building standards by which we call it glamping. They haven't trademarked the word because they can't. So, if you offer glamping, it better be glamping. I'm just saying keep your word. If it's a glamping experience, make it a glamping experience. If it's just a tent, a wonderful accommodation experience, call it a wonderful accommodation experience. Don't call it something that it's not. Okay, I'm off my bully pulpit. If you email me, I will send you the link to this. It's the North American Glamping Report. We're just going to move beyond it. Because I want to end, it's 4:15, it's time to go. You can't just ask customers what they want and then try to give that to them. By the time you get it built, they will want something new. Anybody know whose picture is behind that?
Steve Jobs.
Steve Jobs. Campground of the Future. I'll send you the website. It's called campgroundofthefuture.com. We are taking a very, very aggressive look at what the next campgrounds are going to look like. Next 20, 30 years. We're designing them now. Because guess what? By the time people will tell us that they want them, and we get them built, they'll want something new. This is a driving force. The fundamental reason why people camp won't change. We believe it will not change. To connect to each other and to connect to the outdoors. That's why people camp. We just have to find a new way to do it. All right, time is up. So there's two things that we didn't get. We didn't get the glamping, and we didn't get the campground of the future. So in your email, if you want the glamping report, send it. If you want the link to our campground of the future, ask me for that. Brownfield at KOA.net. I've been asked many times, Larry, why don't you do handouts? Because if I did a handout, they'd be this thick. So if you want it, I send it to you. If you don't want it, we save this many trees. Thank you so very much.